Hi, this is Barry Anderson from the Trade Ideas live trading room. It is Wednesday, April the 1st. This is the address to get into the room, and you can log in with your Facebook or your Twitter account. All right, let's bring up some of the trades I did today in the room. ONN. Now, I took this. Now, this is sort of a new window that I've got here. I've taken a lot of my strategies, put them in this one window, and ONN came in, was my short custom strategy at 11:43 and would have been right about here, sorry, right in this area here. And I decided, it went down here and then it pulled back up. And then as it was coming down again, I decided to take the short. Took it at 11:39 and I covered some right here at, actually, it was right, I got these arrows mixed up. No, I don't. Uh, got right here at 11:27 covered. Now, look at this. It went down to 11:08. I was really hoping it would go through 11. But it didn't. And as it came back up, I decided to cover the balance of my short at 11:24. So nothing spectacular. But again, the market was down today. It still is another hour and a half or so in the market. It's down 104. So, I definitely want to I do want to start shorting some things, but and if I get them from my custom alert, I certainly will have a harder look at them. But so it didn't work out fabulously, but it definitely for the first trade of the day, I was happy with it. Now, here, let's see, how can I describe these? I mean, I didn't get into Diax or Twitter. Now, I just want to show you this one. Now, you see number one. These are, the number one is actually the alert that I posted in the room today. This is that, basically it's a kind of a turnaround, and some of them worked out extremely well. Now, I missed low, early, low 73.89 was the alert on it. Let's just see where it is now, 73.89. So it's still at 74.14, but it got as high as 74.85. So 73.89. So almost a dollar in that one. Tap, I think, was another one. Let's just take a look at Tap. Tap, the alert came in at 73.70. So we're still at 73.92, but again, it got as high as 74.43. So another pretty good one. The one I did end up taking wasn't terrible, wasn't great. Was TRN, and TRN came in at 35.03. And so I ended up taking the trade right here at 35.09. I think the alert was right there. It went back down to 35. When 35 held, I decided, okay, now's the time to take the trade. Took the trade at 35.09 and exited at 35.20. And nothing, and then it came right back down and then popped up again. So this was a little bit erratic, and that's what I found with, of course, if you're trying to go long in a day in which the market is down, it is significantly harder. Even though yesterday the market was down and there were some good continuation plays, I just found that today was a lot more difficult. And I'm still in one. I just have to keep an eye on this one. CTB, I'm in at 43.10. And I am now out. Let's see. Yes, I am now out of this one because I put in my stop at 43. So I have just taken a 10-cent loss on CTV. That's okay. Um, Now the next one was Hog, and Hog, unfortunately, I got in very, very late on it. Hog was another one. $60.18 was the trigger. So right here, $60.18 is the trigger. So right in this area here. And you can see what this pattern is looking for. It's a little bit like my bounce pattern, to tell you the truth, with a lot more filters involved. But it shot up, came back down, and then I just didn't, this candle went up quickly also, and I just didn't get into it. It was a little too erratic for me. But as this candle narrowed right here, this candle narrowed, and I thought if it could break up to 60.50 up through that level, I would take the trade, and that's what I did. I took the trade at $60.50. It looked really good. It looked like 6077. Looked like it might have a great continuation. Because look at these two great 5-minute candles. Looked like it was going to have maybe a tremendous continuation on up. Just didn't do it. And I ended up selling at $60.70 and $60.60 right here. So again, nothing great, and it has fallen back down. So I mean, nothing fantastic, but nonetheless, glad to take the trade. Now, the last trade that did work out very well, and a lot of us were in this one. Gibson, I want to say Gibson, Great Basin Scientific, a very pompous sounding name. Great Basin Scientific. And let's take a look at the daily first. And this one was definitely on my radar. My best, it's not on my best 10. I don't really know why it didn't make my best 10 list, but back in February, I guess this is February 23rd, you see the day it had, just a spectacular day, $1.69 all the way up to 385. And then it basically fell for a long, long time. I mean, a couple little pop-ups, but down, a little pop-up and down. Looked like it was just falling steadily. Now this is today's candle. So this is yesterday, the day before that. So look at all of a sudden big volume increase. There's 2.8 million shares compared to all the rest of hardly anything. So it had the big volume increase, but then the next day, 2 days ago, just really did nothing. Now, the good news on something like this is that number one, the candle was kind of narrow and the volume was down. So it's not like we had another huge day of volume and with sellers knocking it down. Basically, the volume dried up compared to the day before. Candle narrowed. And then look at yesterday. This was the huge, look at this volume bar right here. I mean, probably almost 10 million shares traded on it. And it just zipped up. And so this was something, even though it wasn't on my best hand, I mean, I certainly knew about it. And one of the traders in the room, Trade 14, he was pounding the table on this one. And so I was certainly watching it. It was in the back of my mind. But the problem I had with it is that it was in the healthcare sector. Now, granted, it's a small stock that probably not many people, that many people know about, even though the volume was there. And the healthcare sector was just getting killed again today. Let's take a look at IBB. IBB is down $6, over $6. Take a look at the daily on IBB. I'm hoping that it's going to hold. Here's the low of 4 days ago, 333. You can see it touched down there, right down there, and it sort of bounced off that low. But who knows? I mean, the healthcare sector is certainly in disarray right now. So consequently, with GBSN, because it was in that sector, I was a little bit reluctant just to dive in. But this action right here, I was watching this, but definitely Trade 14 was talking about it, and this got me interested in this flag action right here, and then look at the volume bar right here, and then the candle. So I took the trade right here, 463, and took out some at 485, the conservative nature in me. Here was this pullback, and I'm telling you, if I hadn't taken out anything there, I probably would have got rid of everything right there because I would have been worried that it would just pull all the way back down through my buy price. But I was able to hold on, pop through 509. I sold some here at 5 though, and I jokingly said that I needed for the video today. I always like to have one good stock. I needed it to get through 5, and it did. I did sell some at 5 just to make sure in case it got stuck at 5. And then in about less than 10 minutes, this just popped up, got all the way up to 541. Was really hoping for that 563 bid so I could get $1 out of this, but it didn't quite happen. And I ended up selling when it started coming down to 525. And looks like that was a good move on my part because it certainly fell a lot more. Now it is trying to come back, but overall though, this was a really really nice trade. Happy to take this one on a percentage basis. Of course, it worked out really really well. I'm going to I want to take a look at the daily again on it, and when I look, let's take a look at the weekly. I want to see what's happening. Okay, so the weekly's 582. So, there's a little bit of resistance up in this area here, but nonetheless, I think if it can hold over 5 today, if it can close, it's a 493 right now. If it can hold over 5, this is something I'm certainly going to watch tomorrow and see if it has another big continuation day because obviously there's excitement about this stock. And this is not a horrible pullback. I mean, if it had pulled back all the way down here, okay, right back down to this level here, but it's really just pulled back down to that level, and sort of it's found a bit of a base. Here's the VWAP, and so it didn't even make it down there. So we'll have to see though. So that is it. And again, early on in the pre-market, I mentioned to people that I was really going to concentrate on these, and I profess that I did miss some of the early ones. I know IP, low, tap, they all would have worked to a certain degree. They were coming in pretty fast, so 945, 946, 947, 949, and they were coming in pretty quickly for me to act on it. And now, the one I did miss, I should point this one out to you, and it's because Spark Therapeutics and Dan Merkin, our CEO, came into the room, was wondering if anybody got into this. Now, I do have another strategy. It's not for anybody else yet. It'll be probably in the new optimized channel bar. I don't know when that's happening, but I do have that one. And unfortunately, I didn't add, this is a multi-strategy window, and I didn't add that particular strategy to my window because I was noticing that a lot of them were very, very low volume on the triggers, like 100 shares, 200 shares, 800 shares, and it's just not my style. But ONCE though, when it triggered, it triggered at about I think it probably had 50,000 shares or something, so that certainly was a miss on my part. Guess what? I'll be adding that one to my window, and all I have to do is just check the volume. If the volume is really terrible, then I won't take it. But this one was a big miss. Could have taken it anywhere around this area, and there was about $4 or $5 into it. So that'll be added tomorrow. And let's see, just want to bring back the cover page. Again, here's how to get into the room. You can log in with your Facebook or your Twitter account. There is a question and answer session this afternoon. Well, of course, by the time you read this, it's probably over. But just so you know, every Wednesday at 4:30 Eastern Time, there's an hour-long session. Brad or Dan goes over some of the features of trade ideas. Some you may be familiar with, some you may not be, but also there's a question and answer period where you can just fire questions at them, and it's a great way to learn the program and get questions or answers to some of the questions you may have. All right, so we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday, and Friday's a holiday, so I never like to guess how the market's going to be on a day before. You think that maybe by the afternoon it's going to be very slow, but I've been surprised. So we'll have to see what happens tomorrow. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.